To speak, and at the outset I want to congratulate the Minister for Sport on staying in his portfolio as one of Shakespearean quotes, rumours of my demise are greatly exaggerated. Unfortunately I wasn't available this time last Count Corla, but I'm sure the Taoiseach acknowledges the work that Minister Ring is doing in County Mayo, and I know that that pipeline is open into the west, delivering all the good news constantly from Minister Ring. But sincerely, I do want to acknowledge the work that Minister Ring has done in this whole area over the last 3 years. And I suppose, maybe up to recently, the whole concept of the promotion of sport and certainly tourism, his other brief, might have been regarded as something of a Cinderella in relation to public administration. But certainly I think in the last number of years you can see very clearly the employment levels that can be generated both from tourism and sport. And I just think of my own county and in Limerick, where we have the Ballyhowra Mountains, which are home of the probably one of the finest mountain bike tracks in the world. We have a series of greenways, I know, which the Minister was down on recently. And I would love, I suppose, in the next number of years, with the advent of another initiative of his, the Wild Atlantic Way, if, for instance, there was some possibility of networking those greenways into a single, consolidated almost greenway that, with all of the disused railway lines that there are around the west of Ireland, from West Cork up to Donegal, that there might be an opportunity to do something with those. But I think, again, as I say at the outset, and it's not because I know that the Minister has probably been filled with platitudes all evening, with lads all conscious of the fact that there are sports capital grants due in 2015 as well as 2014. But I have to say that, there's a lot of his ministerial colleagues could learn a lot from him in relation to how he deals with political representations. And he runs a very good office in the sense that people always get back to you, and you don't have to be chasing them around the Dáil at votes and things like that, and some of them trying to dodge you. So, and I know opposition spokespersons and members who would feel the very same. I want to sincerely thank the Minister for the allocations that have been made in Limerick over the last 3 years since the government was formed in relation to sports capital, almost €3 million in a whole variety of different codes. And that is a stimulus. And you hear opposition spokespersons and you hear people in the media, and I'll get to the media in a minute, but you hear people in the media talking about, oh, we need a stimulus. Well, in my part of the world, in small parishes, with GAA clubs and with soccer clubs and with other sporting organisations, an investment of 30 or 40 or 50 or 60,000 euros, that is a stimulus in a small parish of less than 1,000 people. And it's a government cash injection based on set criteria that are auditable and that can be verified and that are fair. And I suppose, like, we all would love to see more money being spent in our areas, but I'm glad that there is a commitment to reopen sports capital next year, and hopefully again in 2016, and that it will be on an annualised basis. And I think that the formula that the Minister has introduced is a formula that works, that counties get money based on the proportion of the population that they have, and it can be seen as fair then, in stark contrast, I suppose, to the cronyism that existed up to recently. I want to compliment him in relation to some of his recent achievements, and I know that he's a big soccer fan, and I think that the opportunity for Ireland in 2020, with Dublin being one of the host cities for soccer, will be a very, very positive thing. And just in relation to, I suppose, the whole concept of that and the IRFU hoping to host the Rugby World Cup, and the fantastic year that the GAA have had and everything like that, I think it's an opportunity in terms of these debates to take stock of where sport is. And of course, as previous speakers have alluded to, sport isn't for everybody, and certain types of sports aren't for everybody. And, I was very fortunate that I was blessed with only one thing worse than 2 bad eyes, and that's 2 bad lungs. And it's not until you're in your late 30s that you realise that you have exercise-induced asthma that probably puts down to the fact that you were useless at team sports but fairly good at swimming, that it shows that there is a niche for individuals. And I know that previous speakers have said that not everybody is able, physically able, or are in a position that they can enjoy team sports to the position that others can. And Deputy Harrington, I was listening to him before I came down, and he made reference to, why can't you be like so-and-so down the road and arrive home with, the cup and things like that. And to a young person, and I was a teacher myself, I am a teacher, that is soul destroying. to a young person. And I think how we articulate to getting involved people in sport, especially at a young age, language is a hugely important part. And I know teachers are very conscious of it now, but other people also need to be conscious of it. And policymakers need to be very conscious of it as well. That it's not everybody who's either physically able to engage in it or is in a position where their social skills are properly developed, where they can be part of a team sport, but there may very well be something for them. And if it's archery, or if it's drafts, or if it's swimming, or if it's pole vaulting, or whatever it is, we've seen in the last number of years a massive growth in individual sporting pursuits, be it running and cycling. And I think that the government's initiative in relation to those two codes especially is welcome and should be encouraged. I'm not going to repeat what other people have said in relation to the health benefits of it, of what it is that the government and the Minister's interests are in relation to type 2 diabetes, stroke, hypertension, obesity-related cancers. But if we don't deal with this soon and deal with it properly in a comprehensive way, we are going to have a generation of people like previous generations were wiped out by TB. We're going to have a generation of people who will be wiped out because of obesity-related illnesses. And I suppose going forward as a state and as a country, we're going to have to put a value on how much money we are expecting to reduce that on an annual basis. And the weight, the collective weight of the country, how can we bring it down? Because at the moment, as a teacher I know it, talking to colleagues and talking to parents, this is a huge problem, and sport is part of it in terms of the structuring of it. And the structuring that the Minister is doing in relation to this bill, but engaging with his colleagues in education and health and transport and environment, where we build our houses, and finance, about how we tax products and things like that, that is absolutely essential. So this government department, this ministry, this bill have huge implications in terms of the health of the nation. And I don't think we can understate that. And I don't think that we should use this as an opportunity just to, as I say, clap ourselves in the back for the good work that we're doing. Just before I finish up Lescon Corla, I suppose one thing that this summer has shown is in relation to another sporting organisation, the GAA, is in relation to really, and I know the Minister will probably be on the one page as me as this now, we are in dire need of having proper legislation in place for our sporting facilities to make sure that when they do make themselves available for concerts and the events like the Garth Brooks thing, that we don't have an international Ballymagesh like we had this summer, where we were plastered all over every media outlet in the world for all the wrong reasons. And if I would encourage the Minister for Sport to do anything, it would be to deliver a message to the Department of the Environment that they really need to deal with this, because this not only reflects badly on Ireland, it reflects badly on our sporting organisations, and it reflects badly on the sporting venues. And I have to say, and I have no problem in saying it, I've said it in the committee in which I'm a member of, the Transport and Sport Committee, that the GAA were very, very badly treated, I believe, in relation to that whole fiasco. And as a member of that committee, I took fairly serious offence to getting a letter from the Dublin City Manager asking me to give my position in relation to my support, membership or otherwise for the GAA before I question him as the Dublin City Manager. My support and membership of the GAA has nothing whatsoever to do with my ability to carry out my job as a public representative. I made that position very clear to him when he came in, and I think he was left under no illusion that he certainly was on the wrong side of that debate in relation to how that whole fiasco unwound and how the country was perceived badly across the world. And I know the Minister knows that from his point of view as Minister for Tourism as well. So just finally, can I just say this bill is important because it consolidates a number of agencies. It's a further commitment by the government in relation to, as I've said in this House before, the de-Quangoisation of the country, that we have an awful lot of bodies competing with each other to try and do the same thing. I want to compliment the Minister on the work that he's doing in terms of the delivery of actual real results into constituencies and into communities like myself. And I hope that the government's commitment, particularly to developing facilities in small locations that haven't a population base that can sustain lottos and fundraising drives to the extent that they can rely on Minister Ring and his department every now and again to give them a G up. And he won't be short of any support in the backbenches when it comes to parliamentary party meetings and otherwise, to make sure that his budget is enhanced. And I'm sure he'll reciprocate that support with support in the constituencies.